Welcome to our deep dive today.
Oh, yeah, this will be fun.
We've got some interesting stuff to get into about the power of the subconscious mind.
Yeah, it's quite a range of material, too.
Right. Excerpts from a book by this chemist who, well, he kind of went full on self-help guru later in life.
Oh, interesting.
Plus, we've got some modern scientific research to compare it to.
To see how it all holds up.
Exactly. And even a few personal stories sprinkled in there. This will be good.
It's exciting to see how the whole idea that the subconscious has evolved.
Totally. Like it went from this fringe science thing to, well, almost mainstream thinking now.
And we're just starting to grasp what it all means, I think.
Okay, let's get into those book excerpts first. They're all from The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy.
Okay, Dr. Murphy.
Now, this guy had a unique background, started out as a chemist.
A chemist.
Yep, but later on he got really into the whole mind power thing.
So his approach to the subconscious, it's kind of like chemistry, too.
That's the thing. ISS. He believed the subconscious follows very specific laws, just like a chemical reaction would.
Huh. That's a really cool way to think about it.
Right. Combine hydrogen and oxygen in the right way and you always get water.
Predictable outcome.
Exactly. And Murphy thought the subconscious works the same way. You feed it certain thoughts and beliefs, and you get predictable results.
Interesting. So what kind of evidence did he have for this?
Oh, he had stories, all right. Pretty wild ones, too. Like, he claimed he healed himself from a sarcoma using only his subconscious.
Whoa, hold on. A sarcoma. That's a...
Malignant tumor. Nasty stuff.
And he just thought it away.
Basically, he believed that same intelligence that creates our bodies can also heal them. It's all about tapping into that power.
But then that raises the question. If the subconscious is this incredible healer, why aren't we all walking around perfectly healthy?
Right. It's a good question. Murphy's argument was that our own negativity blocks that power. Our fears, our limiting beliefs, all that stuff gets in the way.
So it's not just about knowing the subconscious is there, it's about knowing how to work with it.
Exactly. And it's not always easy, apparently. He talks about the opera singer Caruso.
Oh, I know Caruso. Incredible voice.
Oh, yeah. But turns out he had terrible stage fright, like so bad his throat would actually constrict.
Wow. Couldn't even sing.
Barely. He was aware of this battle going on within himself, you know. He actually said the little me wants to strangle the big me within.
He felt like two different people.
In a way, yeah. That's what Murphy called the duality of the mind.
Two minds. So like two separate things.
Not exactly separate minds, more like two spheres of activity within the same mind.
Okay. So not totally separate, but different parts working at the same time.
Exactly. He used the analogy of an iceberg, which I thought was really good.
Oh, I like that. How so?
Well, the conscious mind, the part we're aware of, that's just the tip of the iceberg, the massive, powerful subconscious that's hidden beneath the surface.
So we only see a small part of what's really going on.
Right. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, I'm ready.
Murphy believed that if we understand this duality, this iceberg thing, we can learn to tap into that subconscious power.
That's powerful stuff.
And a big part of that is understanding the power of suggestion. Basically, the idea that our subconscious minds are like sponges absorbing information and suggestions
From where?
everywhere from ourselves, which he called autosuggestion,
Like self-talk?
basically, and from other people too, which he called heterosuggestion.
Interesting. So it's not just our own thoughts, but the things we hear from others too that can shape our subconscious.
Right. And this can be a good thing or a bad thing. You know, like a suggestion can lead to something positive.
Yeah, like a pep talk.
Totally. But it can also lead to something negative.
Like when people put you down.
Yeah.
Or tell you you can't do something.
Exactly. Murphy gives this example of a sailor who never got seasick, no matter how rough the seas were. And the reason was he was so convinced he wouldn't get sick that any suggestion of seasickness just bounced right off him.
Wow, so his mind was so strong he wouldn't even accept the possibility of getting sick.
Exactly. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But on the flip side, there's that story of the man who kept wishing he could trade his arm for his daughter's health. And then he actually lost his arm in an accident.
Oh, wow, that's intense.
Right. It really shows how potent our subconscious beliefs can be, even when we don't realize it.
So it's like we have to be really careful about the suggestions we accept, both from ourselves and from other people.
Absolutely. Murphy was very big on catching those negative suggestions, whether they come from inside or outside, and countering them with positive ones, because the subconscious doesn't judge, it just acts on whatever it's given.
Makes sense. So the big question is, how do we actually use this knowledge to improve our lives?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. Well, Murphy had some ideas about that. He saw the subconscious as this problem solver,
Mm,
full of creativity and guidance, and he had a bunch of techniques for tapping into that power.
I'm all ears.
Well, one of them was visualization, like vividly imagining the outcome you want.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Picture it in detail with all your senses, with emotion, and really feel it.
Makes it more real. Right.
Exactly. He also recommended affirmations, those positive statements you repeat regularly, to kind of embed them in your subconscious.
Like, I am healthy, wealthy, and wise.
That's the idea.
Interesting. So visualization and affirmations.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, something Murphy called cultivating an attitude of gratitude.
Gratitude. That's a big one these days.
Right. It's about focusing on the good, appreciating what you have.
So not just wanting more, but being thankful for what's already there.
Exactly. And lastly, he talked about what he called nighttime programming.
Sounds kind of sci-fi.
It's about giving your subconscious positive material to work on while you sleep.
Like listening to motivational tapes as you doze off.
Could be. Or it could be something as simple as repeating affirmations or visualizing your goals before you drift off.
I see. So it's like planting those positive seeds and letting your subconscious do its thing overnight.
Exactly. And Murphy wasn't just theorizing about all this. He shared stories of people who achieved amazing things using these techniques. Like, there was this guy who really wanted to work at a specific store, so he visualized himself working there, really put himself in that scenario, and he ended up getting a job there, seemingly out of nowhere.
Wow, just from visualizing it.
That's what he claimed. There's also that famous anecdote about the chemist who was struggling with this really complex molecular problem.
Oh, I might have heard this one. Something about a dream, right?
You got it. He kept hitting a wall with his research, and then he had this dream about a snake biting its own tail.
Okay. How does it help with chemistry?
Well, that dream image sparked something in his mind. It led him to the concept of the benzene ring.
No way. The benzene ring, that's like foundational to organic chemistry.
Exactly. And he credits that dream, that subconscious inspiration, for the breakthrough.
That's incredible. So it's not just about personal desires. It's about solving problems, having insights we wouldn't have consciously.
Exactly. There's also the story about a professor who was able to decode these ancient fossil details through a vivid dream.
Wow.
And there's even one about a prisoner of war who escaped a Russian concentration camp, all because he meticulously visualized his destination in Los Angeles.
Seriously. Just from picturing it.
That's what he claimed. It's pretty amazing to think about, isn't it?
Absolutely. The power of the subconscious to shape our reality is just incredible.
And it goes beyond just our own personal goals, too. Murphy applied these ideas to human relationships as well.
Oh, that's interesting. How so?
He tied it back to the golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated.
A classic.
Right.
What does that have to do with the subconscious?
Well, he went beyond just actions. He said it's about our thoughts about others.
Our thoughts.
Yeah, he believed that how we think about people, even subconsciously, shapes how we interact with them.
That makes sense. Like if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts about someone.
It's going to affect how you treat them, even if you're trying to be polite on the surface.
Exactly. So it's not enough to just act nice. You have to cultivate genuine goodwill towards others.
That's what he believed, yeah. And he tells this story about a newspaper editor who learned to disagree without being disagreeable.
Now that's a skill everyone needs.
Right. And apparently, this shift in his internal attitude, his thoughts about the people he disagreed with, really transformed his relationships.
Wow, so it's about changing your perspective first, and then the actions follow.
Exactly. There's another story about a salesman whose relationship with his boss totally changed when he started using positive affirmations about him.
Positive affirmations, even though his boss was a jerk.
That's the thing, the boss wasn't being very good to him, but this salesman decided to focus on the good qualities he wanted to see more of.
Interesting. So even though the situation was bad, he chose to focus on a different reality.
Right. And it worked. Apparently, the boss became more approachable, more willing to listen, and even started praising his work.
So he literally changed his boss's behavior by changing his own thoughts about him. That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. It really shows how powerful our subconscious beliefs about others can be.
But what about those really difficult people? The ones who are just, well, negative all the time. How do you deal with them?
Murphy had some interesting thoughts on that, too. He believed forgiveness was crucial.
Forgiveness. Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, definitely. But he didn't just see it as a way to get along with people. He thought it was vital for our own well-being, physically and mentally.
So holding on to anger and resentment actually hurts US more than anyone else.
That was his argument, yeah. He said unforgiveness creates these emotional blockages that can affect our health.
Interesting.
He even shared stories about people who experienced real healing, both physically and emotionally, just by forgiving.
Do you remember any of those stories specifically?
Yeah, there was one about an overworked businessman who found peace by finally forgiving his brother, and another about a murderer who was tormented by guilt, but found inner peace by forgiving himself.
Wow. That's powerful stuff. Forgiveness really can be transformative.
Absolutely. And that leads us to another fascinating area where Murphy applied the power of the subconscious, aging.
Aging. What does that have to do with the subconscious?
Well, he challenged the whole idea that aging is all about decline, that it's this inevitable downhill slide.
Which is how most people see it, right? You get older, you get weaker, things start falling apart.
Right. But Murphy believed that's mostly a self-fulfilling prophecy. He said we age because we believe we're supposed to age.
So if we change our beliefs about aging, we can actually slow down the process. Is that what he's saying?
He believed it was definitely possible. He pointed to examples of people who achieved amazing things later in life, totally defying expectations.
Interesting. So it's not about denying the physical process of aging. It's about changing our mindset around it.
Exactly. He saw age as an asset. It brings experience, wisdom, emotional maturity.
It's all about how you frame it. Instead of fearing getting older, we should embrace it as a time for continued growth and exploration.
Exactly. That was really the core of his message, that the power to shape our reality is within us. We have this amazing tool, the subconscious mind, and if we understand its rules, we can use it to create a more fulfilling life.
That's pretty inspiring.
It is. And we've only just scratched the surface here. We've got those personal anecdotes to discuss, and then there's the whole scientific side of things. Does modern science actually back up any of this?
It's a good question, and we're going to dive into that next. But before we do, I want to leave you with this thought. If your subconscious mind can create your reality, what kind of reality are you choosing to create today?
That's something to think about. We'll be back with more on the power of the subconscious mind after a short break.
It really is amazing how much power our minds have over, well, everything.
Right, like we've been talking about all these big ideas, but
Seeing how they play out in real life with real people.
that's what really makes it hit home.
Exactly. And we've got some incredible personal stories to dive into.
I'm ready, lay 'em on me.
Okay, well, this first one is about a woman who used the power of her subconscious to, get this, find her ideal husband.
Wait, seriously?
Sounds a bit like a fairy tale, I know. But
No, keep going. I'm intrigued.
Murphy presented it as a real-life example of this thing he called the law of attraction.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Right. Like
So you're saying this woman basically manifested her husband?
in a way, yeah. She was unhappy in her past relationships and realized she was attracting the same type of guy over and over.
Stuck in a pattern.
Exactly. And she was ready for a change, so she decided to actively use her subconscious to create a different outcome.
Okay, how'd she do that?
She started by getting really clear about what she wanted in a partner, like writing down all the qualities.
Ooh, a list. I love a good list.
Me too.
Yeah.
And then she went a step further, visualizing herself with a man who had all those qualities.
Like picturing him in detail.
Yes. She even imagined conversations and experiences they would share.
Wow, she was creating a whole mental picture.
Exactly. Building her ideal partner with her mind.
Okay, and did it actually work? Did she meet someone?
She did. After a few months of consistent visualization and focusing on that desired outcome, she met a man who, get this,
He was everything on her list.
pretty much. They fell in love, got married, and from what Murphy said, built a really happy life together.
Wow. I mean, that's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it? Like she literally willed her perfect partner into existence.
It does make you think, right?
It really does.
The power of belief, I guess.
So what other stories really stood out to you?
There's this other one about a businessman who had a truly awful boss.
Ugh, I think we've all been there at some point.
Right. You feel stressed, undervalued, like your contributions don't even matter.
Totally. So what did this guy do?
Well, he decided to try out Murphy's techniques.
Oh, okay.
Instead of focusing on all the negative stuff, how much he hated his boss. He started practicing affirmations about his boss.
I thought his boss SS. That seems kind of counterintuitive. Like,
It does, right.
Mhm.
But he was focusing on the qualities he wanted to see more of.
interesting. So it's like, even though the reality was bad, He was trying to shift it by changing his thoughts.
Exactly. He would say things like, my boss is fair, understanding, and supportive.
Even though he wasn't any of those things at the time.
Nope. But the businessman kept repeating those affirmations day after day.
Did anything change?
Well, it wasn't like overnight his boss became a saint or anything.
Right.
But gradually the relationship started to shift. The businessman noticed his boss becoming more approachable, more open to listening.
He even started praising his work, didn't he?
He did. It's like by changing his own thoughts about his boss, he actually influenced his boss's behavior.
Wow, that's incredible.
Right? It's like our internal reality can shape our external experience.
It's almost too much to believe.
I know, it can be tough to wrap your head around it.
Part of me is still skeptical, I gotta admit. Like, it's hard to believe our thoughts can have that much power.
I get it. It's a big leap of faith.
What if we approach it as an experiment, Like, try out these techniques and just see what happens.
Exactly. Murphy said that the only thing you have to do is get your conscious mind to accept an idea, and then your subconscious mind will take it from there.
So it's all about that belief, that trust in the process.
Right. Planting that seed and letting it grow.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. And hey, like you said, what do we have to lose?
Exactly. We've been talking about these amazing stories, but remember, there's scientific evidence to support all this too.
Oh, right. We were going to dive deeper into the whole neuroplasticity thing.
Yes. It's really the key to understanding how all this works.
Okay, remind me. Neuroplasticity is...
It's the brain's ability to change and adapt throughout our lives. It's not this fixed, unchanging thing.
So it's like we're constantly rewiring our brains.
Exactly. And that includes our subconscious beliefs. The more we focus on a certain belief, the stronger those neural pathways become.
So it's like if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts,
You're literally strengthening those negative pathways.
making it more likely that you'll experience negative things.
Right. But here's the good news. The flip side is also true.
Meaning?
If we consistently focus on positive thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, we can rewire our brains for happiness, success, all that good stuff.
Okay, that's pretty powerful, but how does that actually work? Like, what's the science behind it?
Well, one of the key mechanisms is something called synaptic pruning.
Synaptic pruning, that sounds intense.
It's basically how our brains get rid of connections that aren't being used. So the pathways that are used frequently,
It gets stronger.
and the ones that we don't use, they just fade away.
Exactly. Think of it like a garden. You have to pull out the weeds to let the flowers grow.
I like that analogy. So the negative thoughts are like the weeds.
And the positive ones are the flowers that we want to nurture. Okay, I'm getting it. But one more question about neuroplasticity. Is it possible to rewire our brains at ANY age?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes.
Seriously. So it's never too late to change our thought patterns.
Never too late. Every time you learn something new, try a new activity, even just choose to focus on a positive thought, you're engaging in neuroplasticity.
So we have more control over our minds than we think.
Way more. And that's the whole point of this deep dive.
We need to understand that power and learn how to use it.
Exactly. And speaking of practical ways to use it, I'm curious to hear more about Murphy's suggestions for specific challenges, like healing or achieving success.
Yeah, did he have any specific techniques for that?
He did. Beyond the visualization and affirmations, he believed the subconscious mind was capable of so much more.
Like what?
He saw it as a source of guidance, intuition, even problem-solving abilities.
Okay, so how do you tap into that?
He talked a lot about cultivating inner peace and stillness.
Like meditation.
Kind of, yeah. He believed that when our minds are quiet, we can connect with our inner wisdom more easily.
It's hard to hear that quiet voice when there's so much noise,
Exactly. And another technique he recommended was working with our dreams.
Dreams. How do those tie into the subconscious?
He saw dreams in a direct line to our subconscious minds, full of insights and guidance.
So it's not just about remembering your dreams, it's about analyzing them.
Right. Looking for patterns, symbols, recurring themes.
I have never really thought about dreams that way.
It's a powerful tool. Murphy suggested keeping a dream journal.
Write them down as soon as you wake up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might be surprised by what you discover.
I'm definitely going to try that.
It's amazing what we can learn about ourselves by paying attention to our subconscious minds.
This has been a fascinating deep dive.
It really has.
We've covered so much ground, from Dr. Murphy's teachings to the latest scientific research and those incredible personal stories.
And the amazing thing is, it all points to the same conclusion, that we have this incredible power within us.
Right, whether it's through visualization, affirmations, or just believing in our own potential.
We can tap into the power of our subconscious minds and shape our reality.
It's empowering and humbling at the same time.
It is. Like, we've been given this incredible gift, but it's up to us to learn how to use it.
This is definitely just the beginning of my exploration, I can tell.
It's a lifelong journey, really.
Well, I'm ready for the next leg of the journey. What other amazing stories do we have to uncover?
Oh, we've got some truly incredible ones coming up. Stories about healing, success, overcoming seemingly impossible challenges, all thanks to the power of the subconscious mind.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. Can't wait to hear those stories. Okay, so let's get into those amazing personal stories. I'm ready to hear how people have used their subconscious minds to achieve extraordinary things.
Well, we were talking about specific challenges,
Yeah,
and Murphy had some fascinating insights into healing.
right. He believed in the subconscious power, not just for physical healing.
Exactly. For emotional and psychological healing, too.
So it's like not just fixing a broken bone, but healing from trauma, overcoming negative patterns.
Exactly. He saw the subconscious as this, well, a key player in our overall well-being. And he had this technique he called scientific prayer.
Scientific prayer.
Ah.
Okay, now that's a new one.
It's not about religion, really. It's more about aligning your conscious desires with the power of your subconscious.
Sounds intriguing. How does it work? What makes it scientific?
It's a very structured approach. Like first you identify the specific condition you want to change.
Okay, so it could be a health issue, a bad relationship, or even like a limiting belief.
Right. And then you create this clear, concise statement about what you want to achieve.
Kind of like setting an intention.
Exactly. But it's more than just a vague wish. It's a specific, detailed statement of the desired outcome, almost like a hypothesis in a scientific experiment.
So you're stating it as if it's already true. I am healthy, or I have a loving relationship.
Exactly. And then you repeat that statement regularly with conviction, like you really believe it. And that helps to impress it upon your subconscious mind.
Interesting. So it's not just about thinking it once, it's about repeating it, feeling it, really driving that thought home.
Right. And Murphy had all these stories about people getting amazing results. Like there's one about a young singer,
A singer.
super talented, but she had crippling stage fright. Every time she tried to perform, she would freeze up.
I can totally relate to that. Performing in front of people can be terrifying.
Right. It was preventing her from sharing her gift. So she decided to try this scientific prayer technique. She crafted a statement, "I am a confident and poised performer. I sing with joy and ease."
Hurtful statement.
And she repeated it over and over. Visualized herself on stage, feeling calm and confident, really feeling it.
So she combined visualization with this prayer technique.
Right. And she also used affirmations to combat her negative thoughts. Like, "I am worthy. My voice is a gift."
So she was really attacking it from all angles, changing her subconscious beliefs.
Exactly. And you know what? It worked. Not overnight, but gradually she started to feel less afraid. And eventually she was able to perform without that paralyzing fear holding her back.
That's an amazing story. It shows that even deep-seated fears can be overcome.
If you work with your subconscious mind. Yeah.
What other stories did you find really inspiring?
Oh, there's this one about a woman who used her subconscious mind to heal from a chronic illness.
Wow. What kind of illness was it?
She'd been struggling with this debilitating condition for years. Tried all sorts of treatments, nothing seemed to help. She was feeling pretty hopeless.
I can only imagine how frustrating that must have been.
Right. But then she came across Murphy's book and decided to give his ideas a try. She really focused on the belief that her body could heal itself.
So she shifted her focus from the illness to the possibility of healing.
Exactly. She used visualization techniques, imagined her body becoming healthy again, and she practiced gratitude.
Gratitude, even while she was still sick.
Yeah, she made a point of being grateful for even the smallest signs of improvement.
That's powerful. Did she use the scientific prayer technique too?
Oh yeah, she came up with her own statement. "I am healthy, vibrant, and full of energy." And she repeated it faithfully, believing in its power.
And did it work? Did she actually heal?
It's amazing, but she did. Over time, her symptoms started to improve. It wasn't an overnight miracle, but a gradual process of her body healing itself.
Wow, that's incredible. It really shows that we all have this innate healing power within us.
Right. We just have to tap into it.
And those stories are just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Exactly. Murphy believed we can use these principles in any area of our lives.
Mm.
Relationships, finances, career goals, anything.
It's not just about achieving specific things, it's about connecting with a deeper power within ourselves.
That's a great way to put it. And as we explore the subconscious mind, we open up a world of possibilities.
This has been an incredible deep dive. Dr. Murphy's ideas, the science behind it all, and those amazing personal stories.
It's inspiring to think about the power we all have within us.
It really is. And the best part is, this is just the beginning. There's so much more to explore, to learn, and to apply in our own lives.
So to our listeners, we encourage you to keep digging deeper, explore those techniques we discussed, experiment with what works for you, and most importantly, believe in the power of your own mind to create the life you desire.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the subconscious mind. We hope you found it as fascinating and empowering as we did.